Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. AITA for not paying for my husband's hospital bill. The 3 years that I have been married to my husband, male 36, have been difficult, and it has been a difficult 3 years for us. We do not pool our resources, and we each make an equal and direct contribution to the costs of running the home. His zeal for being respected extends to his handling of money, which means I should refrain from asking him for money to pay personal expenses, and he should refrain from asking me for money. Set aside some money for the times when you need to have something done quickly. Recently, I went shopping for a dress to wear to my sister's wedding, but I did not have enough money on me to complete my purchase at the time. Despite the fact that he had money in his hands, he refused to offer it to me as a gift. I attempted to contact my husband in order to beg him for money, about $200, but he refused. I wasn't offended. Well, I won't lie, I was upset since I had to purchase less expensive apparel as a result of his actions, but I didn't create a scene or dispute with him because he didn't offer me any money to complain about. The injury had occurred just a few weeks ago. It was not life-threatening, but his knee was in awful shape and was rapidly deteriorating. He needed surgery immediately. In response to his request for assistance with his medical fees, since he did not anticipate to remain in the hospital for long owing to his injuries, I declined. He pleaded, but I told him no, and then no more than once. He attempted to intimidate me into paying by claiming that I had money and that he was in the midst of an emergency at the time of the transaction. When he was driving, I told him that his recklessness, whether with money or driving, was not my concern. His mother was eventually called upon to assist him. However, instead of refusing to pay, she paid the whole amount and then continued to probe me about my inability to pay for weeks. She referred to me as a vile H-bag and stated that I lacked the necessary thigh or wife material to do this to my husband, among other things. Despite the fact that I expressed my dissatisfaction with her harassment and asked my husband to push her to stop, he chose to stand by her side instead of standing up for me. A discussion with him the other day was about his double standards, namely how I am supposed to pay for him, but he does not do the same for me, like in the case of the clothing issue a month ago, among other things. He stared at me as if I was insane, and he blamed me for not assisting him since, unlike the garment incident, this was a major emergency that required immediate assistance. He went so far as to tell me that acting in such a petty and vengeful manner had crossed the line for him. Even though I stepped outside to breathe some fresh air, the headache persisted for days and he's still enraged over it. Let's not even get started on how vile his mother has been described. AITA, I feel like I just kept my part of the no mixed financings contract when I signed the agreement. As an example, when I requested his assistance in paying for the dress, he inquired as to whether he was entitled to any refund, which I denied. He responded by stating that had I the money and wasn't in financial distress, I would not have sought his assistance in the first place, which is why he declined. He did, however, promise to reimburse me for the time I spent assisting him with the medical expenditures he had incurred. Story 2. AITA for ruining Thanksgiving. I met my partner, 30 male, 3 years ago when I was 30 years old. He had been with his high school sweetheart before I arrived. They were no longer in love and decided to divorce. We started dating a year after that. His mother, on the other hand, was heartbroken by the situation. As a sympathetic observer, I concluded that she needed more time to get to know me. It was almost as if the ex had grown up with them and was regarded as a part of the family. The first year of our relationship, his mother would refer to me by my ex's name, husband's, which made him upset and made him demand that she be more gracious. She brushed it off, stating that it was just a habit of hers at the time. After that, she started to pronounce my name incorrectly. Janet, rather than Jenny, is used as a fictitious name for the purpose of the story. I tried to correct her a few times, but she seemed to take pleasure in causing me pain, so I ultimately ignored her. We were invited to a BBQ at the home of my boyfriend's older sister a few weeks before Thanksgiving, and we were thrilled to accept the invitation. I was in the kitchen with my boyfriend's mother, 2 sisters, and one of their husbands when the incident occurred. The eldest sister then explained to her husband how my boyfriend had complimented my food and the mother was paying attention. Of course, she said, "Why don't we assign Janet the task of preparing the Thanksgiving turkey this year?" I exclaimed, "Wow, that's a fantastic idea." As the sisters giggled and exchanged glances, I didn't tell my partner about what had happened since I was embarrassed. His mother hosted a traditional wine and dessert dinner on Thanksgiving Day, which we enjoyed together. Everyone, including her, was taken aback. What? I was perplexed. I was under the impression Janet was going to bring the turkey. We were escorted out after yelling and sobbing. My lover is so dissatisfied with me that he hasn't spoken anything to me since. To be very honest, I feel the game is done. But I don't feel I've done anything incorrectly. Is it true that I said that? Update. I'm not sure where to begin, but I'd want to express my admiration by saying WOW. Had not anticipated receiving such a large amount of support. Thank you for making the NTA available. Instead of repeating the last line, I'll answer some questions before releasing the next version of Windows. Thanksgiving dinner is traditionally served at the mother-in-law's oldest daughter's home since they have the biggest dining rooms, F32. In most cases, it is the same people that bring the same dishes, and this has been the case for many years. My mother-in-law will be in charge of the turkey, my boyfriend will be in charge of the sweets, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure whether they phoned each other to see how they were doing. In the past, I've attended one with my partner, and we've taken dessert with us. There is no direct contact between my MIL and myself. If you look at my text conversation with her, it seems like I'm that oddball that pops into your DM every now and then with a hello, except when I send birthday wishes or Christmas/Easter wishes, etc. She never talked to or about me, not even while she was with her lover. And even when I was in the same room as her, she would refer to me in the third person when she was speaking to or about me. One of her greatest concerns while at the BBQ was that her sister-in-law and her husband were complimenting my meal and asked if they might come over for dinner sometime. If you were familiar with MIL, you wouldn't think it was unusual at all. MIL was the trigger that set off everything. Only those who were familiar with Janet, such as SIL, Phils, and so on, understood what was going on at Thanksgiving. The others were bewildered and terrified. After his mother attempted to evict me, my boyfriend became bewildered and upset, and he told her that he, too, would be leaving. Because I lived just 5 minutes away from my mother-in-law, I only had 5 minutes to explain myself. After leaving me off, he grew agitated and drove away from the scene. My knowledge of what he did thereafter, or how the rest of his family celebrated, is sketchy at best. I placed my order and sat back to keep an eye on the time. I apologized to him both that night and the next day, and I sought to contact him throughout the weekend without success. I was disappointed in myself. The most current update is that I was at a party yesterday that both my partner and I had planned to attend before the disagreement arose, and it was wonderful. I was waiting for him when he came, and we spent the rest of the evening together. He inquired as to if we may meet later at my home, and I agreed. Instead of being furious with what I did, he expressed his displeasure with my failure to notify him, claiming that he had been made to appear like an idiot. I sincerely apologized once again. I confess to him that I don't think I'll ever be able or want to make peace with my mother-in-law, and that I'm not sure if that's what I want for myself in the long run. When it comes to my SIL children, she's a terrific grandmother, but will she be the same with ours, given that she plainly dislikes and will not like me? I also told him that I was unable to be with someone who would forsake me for a period of 2-3 weeks if he became furious with me, and he agreed. As a consequence, we decided to part ways. I'm disappointed since I admire him, but in the long run, this is definitely for the best. Many people believe that my mother-in-law won the race, although I was never in a race with her. Due to my disinterest, she may come to feel that she has won, and at the very least, she will begin calling her boyfriend's next girlfriend by my first and last names.